everybody. My name is Scheherazade Washington Parrish, and I'm excited to welcome you to the Allied Media Project Spring Speakers Series, Bloom. In today's event, Ancestral Ceremonies. We are so grateful to share this virtual space with you and our guests, Bronte Velez and Liz Kennedy from Led to Life. Please give them your kudos and love in the chat. Allied Media Projects has been cultivating media for liberation for over 20 years. Right now, we'd like to take a minute to acknowledge and uplift the rich history of Detroit, the city that AMP calls home. Detroit sits on the Anishinaabe land and that of other indigenous people. It is the largest majority Black city in the nation with a long legacy of African diasporic global contributions. It was also once a stop on the Underground Railroad known by its code name, Midnight. Detroit is also the US city with the largest concentration of Arab Americans. It's a border city with Canada and has a growing Latinx community and a rich legacy of Asian American communities and movements. We encourage you to connect with the legacies of your cities and acknowledge the land and communities where you reside. Feel free to name them in the chat. You should know that this event is live captioned, providing ASL and Spanish interpretation. But before we begin this conversation, we would like to invite you to join Liz Kennedy from Led to Life with an opening ritual.
Hello, y'all. Hello. I'm Bronte Velez. I go by they, them pronouns, calling in from Kashaya Pomo territory, representing Led to Life. And we are so excited for you to join us for this soft premiere of Between Starshine and Clay. The film is going to continue to grow and evolve, but we want to extend our gratitude to everyone on the production team who pushed through so hard this past month to bring this project to this moment for you all to receive the medicine of this prayer. This has been 2 years in the making. It was definitely on CP time, and we are just so grateful. Shout out to especially Med, the director and editor, for all of your hard work and labor, for going to pick up your baby late from daycare yesterday. We so appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you to Jose, Donnie, and Trevor for getting us together for the final round for color and sound and animations. We will be actively participating today to co-witness this film together. It's not a casual experience. Sorry if you signed up to just watch from the living room. It makes it at the same time, because you're gonna have to sit down with us. This work draws upon lineages of African diasporic ritual storytelling. So we're gonna open in a simple ritual practice together of acknowledgement, prayer, candle lighting, and confirming consent for your participation today. These rituals are non-denominational offerings and simple ways to let the ancient elements of fire and water accompany us in our healing while we witness this ritual film. And we invite you, I'm gonna slow down for the interpreter, I'm speaking fast. We invite you to follow your intuition and discernment on what feels good and right for you throughout our time together today, so that in each moment during our time together, we're in our dignity and agency. We're listening for our yes and our no. You could be like, I don't want to close my eyes right now during this prayer while you pray. I don't know you. Maybe I don't want to light a candle right now. I'm going to hold a stone in my hand or look at a picture of a relative. Whatever feels good for you, we encourage you to listen and trust your intuition, and to be comfortable throughout our time together as best you can, practicing what helps you and your body regulate.
Thank you, Bronte. Amen, Ashe. So now we're going to invite folks to gather a candle. I have here one with me. Or incense. If you use incense, please check in with folks around y'all for scent sensitivities. And grab some water as well, if you're able and it's close. We'll use the water after the film, but we want it close and for us to stay hydrated throughout our time together. Imagine the water will be holding the many dreams shared in the film. And after the film, we'll drink those dreams and bring them into our body. As a content warning, this film grapples with themes of gun violence and police brutality. There are no images of harm happening, but the content does trace the wake of gun violence and police terrorism. So we ask folks to take care of themselves through the screening and event. Before Bronte invites us into a fire blessing, I'm going to lead a simple practice from somatic therapist and abolitionist Resma Menakem to ground our bodies for today's screening. This will engage our psoas and vagal nerves and can be done sitting down or standing up. It involves turning your neck and hips. If this is inaccessible for you, I invite you to participate in a way that feels good for you and your body. If you're uninterested in participating, that's okay too. Stare straight ahead. Ask yourself, what is in the air? What do you need to feel present to witness this film? Take a moment to notice what's happening in your body. Now, I ask you to use your neck and hips to turn and look over your left shoulder. Come back to center. Breathe. Look up and look down. Now, look over your right shoulder, using your neck and hips to move your body. Come back to center. Breathe. Notice how this practice invites your body to enter the space from perhaps a new place. Notice what's different. I hope this created spaciousness for you to witness this offering, and will now turn it over to Bronte for the fire blessing.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, Resma, for that practice. I'm now going to offer a fire blessing, and we can invite us to light our candles, our incense, or you can just visualize yourself opening a fire between us. And just that when we light these, that we're imagining ourselves circling up somewhere around fire. It's nighttime, we're watching this story, we're telling this story between one another. And I know that that's not how we're gathering just yet still, but we want to offer that kind of experience. If you ever want to look at your fire and bring you into that ritual storytelling space. So I have my little incense. And I want to thank you, sweet fire, for the way that you help us move and hold our rage as prayer. Thank you for the reminder that some seeds can only germinate through your heat, through your light. Thank you for your alchemy. We light our candles together this evening with the wisdom that the seed of abolition might emerge through aligning our efforts and our hearts in the calling towards something beyond us when fire is at the center. We light our candles or our incense to illuminate injustice. We light our candles and our incense to memorialize those we have lost and to bring heat and warmth to the grieving. Today, we light our candles and our incense with the trust that there might be a baptism, a rebirth, available in the ashes. You may now light your candle or incense or your visual or internal fire. And now we're going to offer an opening invocation for this film, and then we're going to witness.
Ashe. This is not a film. This is a ritual. This is Black queer alchemy.
Same way we transform guns, we seek to transform the camera, liberate the wake of capturing, shooting, taking, developing. This is not to be consumed, tracked, watched, appropriated, surveilled, etc. This is for beholding. This requires your tenderness.
We invite you in as a witness to hold these stories with us, to redistribute the grief and continue the prophecy. If you have come because your liberation is bound up with ours, welcome.
We invite you to bring water into your body to begin. Permit your breath to keep finding you. Our people are free. Enjoy the film. Thank you.
Where are you right now? Where are you? Are you here? Are you here? Where else are you here?
Where are you? Where are you?
Richard Perkins, who was murdered by Oakland Police Department.
17-year-old Christopher Lavelle Jones, who was murdered here in the city of Oakland.
Oscar Grant, whose life we're honoring today.
We learned about the sovereignty of our prayer, ceremony as a place for the unhomed, where Black ain't a vacuum, ain't the shadow of whiteness, but its own grace.
No mother anticipate a child leaving this earth before themselves. My son become old, his hair become gray, still laughing and joking and wanting his feet rubbed. I'm gonna miss him, and I pray for our children.
we started to shake and rage and shift shape as a reflection of the earth taking their body back. We wanted our breath back, so we took our breath back with the artifacts of war. We danced ourselves back home to source till there was no memory of separation, because this is not our apocalypse. We have already been revealed to ourselves. We came to bring the weapons back to the earth. So the geography of ossuaries, call them hoods, call them ghettos, call them gone. Each corner some memory of some memory. Too many of the same story. Too many Black children gone too early. We wanted a new story to live by. We wanted sanctuary. Well, we become so well that we are the well, a reservoir of joy, absorbing all light and laughter this skin made of soil can sip on.
And so I say to you, there is no violence in our town, Ashe. I say to you, there is no economic violence in our town, Ashe. I say to you, everybody is housed, Ashe. I say to you, there are no jails or prisons, or as we call them, American concentration camps, Ashe. I say to you that we invest in prevention, not criminalization, Ashe. I say unto you that the generations and generations of trauma from white supremacy and capitalism and imperialism and militarism have been healed. Ashe. I say to you that the people govern each other with laws of justice, equity, and humanity. Ashe. I say to you that we are living in the times that we have spent our lives fighting for. Ashe. 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 And so it is. I love you, Oakland.
Will I become you again, sweet soil? Ocean, will I be like you, full and everywhere? We keep our breath flowing so our joy can come home. We undam our chests. Our joy, like water, like salmon, got perfect memory. It's always on its way. We always on our way. We always been the way. My people are free. My people are free. My people are free. Thank you so much for watching our offering. Thank you to everyone who helped make it possible. We're just going to do a quick breath practice to integrate that I learned from my friend Damaris Miller. It's called a 7th generation breath practice, and it's brief, and you can participate or you again can choose not to. What we're going to do is each time we inhale and exhale, we're going to imagine that we're inhaling for those who came before us and exhaling for our descendants. Those could be biological, those could be more than human beings, those could be the world at large, children and elders. So I'm going to invite you to get in a comfortable position if you want to participate. And maybe you have your hands on your belly if that feels good. And so we're inhaling liberation for our parents. And we're exhaling liberation for our children. We're inhaling liberation for our grandparents. And we're exhaling liberation for our grandchildren. We're inhaling liberation for our great-grandparents. And we're exhaling liberation for our great-grandchildren. We're inhaling liberation for our great-great-grandparents. And we're exhaling liberation for our great-great-grandchildren. We're inhaling liberation for the 5th generation who came before us. We're exhaling liberation for the 5th generation after us. We're inhaling liberation for the 6th generation before us. We're exhaling liberation for the 6th generation after us. We're inhaling liberation for the 7th generation before us. One more little itty bitty sip for the 8th. And we're exhaling for all of our descendants. May the prayer of this work serve our practice in liberation backwards and forwards through time. Thank you. I'm going to pass it back to Shay.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I can't wait to dig in to this with you all. Wow, that was really moving. Thank you so much for that offering, for the visual representation of ritual. You said this is not a film, and so I want to be mindful and acknowledging it, as it is. I understand we have Dion Smith Downs and Denise Friday Hall joining us, and they were featured in this offering. Yes, I'd like to say hello and welcome, and thank you so much for your offering. And really, I just want to know, tell me a little bit about this work. What drives this work? Anyone?
Yeah, I'm going to go for it, and then people can loop in. I think this work is something dreamed us into this work. I think this work is not, we didn't kind of generate this work. I think of this work as having called us to it. It comes from a lineage of Black prophetic traditions. And the other day, Liz used the language of Black trance traditions, of bringing people into experiences where we imagine ourselves free. We imagine that police brutality, violence to the earth and to ourselves and to our children is over. And we kind of move as such. And there's a kind of being in that practice so that we might be able to imagine ourselves and go reverse backwards. Okay, we had that experience. And so now how do we generate that in real time and space? So that's some of that, what drives that practice of really having deficits on our imagination. And so how do we make space for that, where we're not always in resistance, but we're also getting to practice what freedom feels like together?
Thanks for that. Denise, what brought you to this work?
Denise has actually stepped away for a moment.
Oh, Denise. Well, can we go to Dion? Is Dion available? Or Liz?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, yes. What brought me into this work is losing a son through police violence. And so it woke me up, not only about death of my son, but what was going on in the world. And so I became an activist after his death, and to be able to understand and how to stand for something and also educate and also love and cry with each other to move forward to change.
That's, I don't want to be cliche, right? That is powerful work. It is something to be able to take a pain in that way and transform it into something beautiful and something that serves others and serves communities greater than your own. I am infinitely moved and grateful to you for this work. I do want to ask you though, because I heard that both you and Denise have this like really awesome Genesis how you met story. Would you care to share that with us?
Yes. Well, it was a day that we're sad that her son was murdered. At that time, I was at school picking up my children from school at the high school, and I got a call that it was a police-involved shooting. And still of me taking my kids home, I took my kids right with me to the scene. And I seen a lot of officers, and like they always do, try to push everybody back so they can stage the crime scene. And so to get to the point that I was wondering where the mother at, where the family at. That was my main concern, because I know how I was when I lost my son. I didn't know who to run to, who to talk to, who to cry with, who to ask questions. And so I was there when they took Denise's son in the ambulance. And I said, I'm not going nowhere until the family get here. And I sat there, and at about 1 o'clock in the morning, that's when I met Denise when she came. And I identified myself to her, and I let her know that I'm here to support her. I'm here to stand with her. I'm here to fight with her. I'm here to cry with her. And I also asked her, I will love to support you and also come to the funeral. And ever since then, me and Denise been two peas in a pot.
That is a beautiful, that's a beautiful story of sisterhood. I love that. Born of unthinkable circumstance. I extend my condolences to you still, and Denise as well. And thank you for the work that you're doing. How did y'all get with each other? Liz and Bronte, how did you meet Dion and Denise and get together and do this work?
I was introduced to Dion through folks over at Anti-Police Terror Project when we were wanting to. So you saw the film and the part of the project where we're in Oakland in 2019, Chichinyo Ohlone territory. But then we wanted to do this other story where it was like the earth was in consort with what we were doing in the city. So it was like bridging those places. And I reached out to our contact at Anti-Police Terror Project, who we had collaborated with on the ceremony. And they gave us a couple of contacts of families who might perhaps want to participate. I had a call with Dion and shared about the project. And then Dion was like, well, Denise has to be there. And they got to Point Reyes, which I've never seen this many Black people in Point Reyes. I'll say it's quite a white town. I love you, Steve Costa. I saw you were on the call. But it's, you know, it's not Black. So it was just amazing to see it so deep with so many Black folks. And that's how we actually met Dion and Denise that day in Point Reyes all together. So we met in ritual, and I hear the way you meet people is that's how the rest of your relationship's gonna be. So we met in the land that day doing that work. Yeah.
Nice. I am very interested in this notion of relationship as ritual. And I noticed in your film, in your offering, that it felt like focuses on tangible things. There were shovels, and there were bullets and guns and sand, you know, these very earth-based materials. And I'm curious to know how that material plays a role in this offering, in this ritual practice.
So Led to Life's work really exists at the bridge between racial justice and environmental justice. And so part of our practice is recognizing that the same violence that we're experiencing as Black folks, that's a shared struggle that is also being mirrored in the way that the earth is being violated. So in that shared struggle, there's shared solidarity. And we know that guns, at the end of the day, are sourced from the earth. Metal is sourced from the earth. The iron, the lead that is a part of guns is sourced from the earth. So how can we return those elements back to the earth as a gift? That's actually one of the things that we say in our opening mantra that we read together when we start every meeting. So it was really important that we ground this type of grief work, this death doulaship, or what we like to call wake work in reference to Christina Sharp's work. It's really important to call upon the earth as witness to this wake work that we're doing. And for as long as humans have mourned one another and practiced rituals around death and mourning, there's such a rich lineage of the ways in which the earth has witnessed us in that grief and has held us. So you can see in the film that the Denise and Dion, the mothers, were cleansing the guns and herbs. And you can see Bronte in the soil, and those stars that you see were actually burned from a gun that night on MLK Day in 2019 in our public ritual. So as these elements from the earth were stolen and extracted to produce weapons of violence, we are returning them back into the earth as regenerative tools that actually can support healing. And that is why we call our work alchemy. That's what we call applied alchemy, is really activating our radical imagination to transform systems and objects of harm and violence into ones that can heal and actually affirm Black life and the earth.
Francie, that sound about right too? Yes.
I just DM Liz, you talking that shit right now. I think that's about it.
See, yeah. Liz, I told you it wasn't going to be me that said it. It wasn't going to be me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm all for it. I was going to bring up, I noticed these 3 different uses of wake. And the first one was from Christina Sharp's work in the wake, standing in the wake, keeping watch with the dead. And then the second use, if I remember, is the trail that's left in the water from a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then just being awake and conscious. Can you talk to us a little bit about how these three separate instances of wake tie together in your work?
Yeah, I can jump in, and then Bronte, feel free to interrupt me. So the definitions of wake that you see in the film are adapted from Christina Sharp's 2016 book, In the Wake on Blackness and Being. And there's actually one other definition of the wake that was included in there, and that's the wake as in the recoil of the gun. And so Christina Sharp defines wake work as the work that's needed to really steward Black grieving and mourning in this constant, perpetual state of anti-Black violence that we find ourselves in. Just this week, so many of us are grieving the way that George Floyd was taken from us. And so in the years since he's passed, we lost over 1,000 people to police terrorism. So this is a persistent climate that we're in. And, to quote Claudia Rankine, the condition of Black life is one of mourning. So we know that we are constantly mourning the way that the state, the way that the police constantly take our loved ones. And what do we need to do to stand watch? What do we need to do to hold space in a container for public ritual and to grieve together? There is a Alice Walker quote that I return to so often when I'm talking about Led to Life's work. And she says, "Those who love us never leave us alone with our grief." And so if you love Black people, if you are committed to Black liberation, you cannot leave us alone in this grief. And we know that our grief actually longs to be witnessed in community. And American and just Western cultures in general, we've really lost so many of the tools and the technologies that we have to practice grief in community. So that's why public ritual and public ceremony is so important to us, so that we can really invite others to hold this grief with us, to redistribute it, as we said in the opening ritual. And we want this work to, disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed. So that definition of wake as consciousness, how often do you hear, oh, wokeness, staying woke? We want you to be awake to the way in which Black folks are very much still in the hold. And that's why Christina Sharp uses that definition of wake as the passage of the ship, because in many ways, the Middle Passage, the wake of the slave ship, has just reinvented itself, right? Through the different mechanisms of police terrorism, through prisons, through jails. So we also want folks to be awake to our grief and to hold it with us.
You better talk about it, Liz Kennedy.
Come on.
I'm gonna just say that. And thank you. Now, I want to say this. I want to just throw this out here for folk who may be tuned in, who may, like my father, right? And his generation of folk who look at ritual. When they hear the word ritual, they think it's something like, oh, don't do that, right? So can you give us a definition of ritual that's like super simple, something that 3-year-olds can understand, something that 80-year-olds can go, oh, I used to do that growing up. Like, let's normalize it for the skeptics.
I love that. Thank you. I think about how our colleague Jasmine Calderon Torres shared that white supremacy is a tradition, and how there are these things we do every day where we follow traditions. We follow traditions of ways we were socialized. I was told when I was little, I gotta brush my teeth in the morning and at night. You know, that's a ritual. It's a thing. It's a consistent practice of doing a thing. You know, and we do them all the time. We have these little ways that we actually also engage rituals that maintenance, you know, the things that we want to dismantle. We have rituals with money. We have rituals with capitalism. I know sometimes I have practices where I still am trying to release things from patriarchy and whiteness from my body and how I've been socialized. And so our rituals are to say, we already do this. There are things we already do all of the time. Black church, which I grew up in, was always so ritualistic, even though it may not have used that language. I saw something recently that said, now what is more witchcrafty than what's going on at Black church? I mean, I saw things that were very mystical. I know that's dangerous to say with my mom and my dad on, but what I'm saying is Black church and Black ritual, the things that we do, we have a mysticism to us. We have a way to us where we want to connect with spirit. And we do that, I think, all of the time. And so these practices are to, and our work with ritual is just to say, we're coming together to make an agreement about something and to open up a different kind of attention together. And I think the ritual practice is about our attention and saying, at 2019, at that ceremony, we came together and agreed to say, we're gonna imagine that you can change a gun back into the earth and you can turn it back into a star. You can turn iron back to the cosmos. And we're gonna lend our attention to it. And I think it's that agreement. Yeah. That helps us know we can heal together also. And we have to do that consistently.
Mm-hmm. I'd also like to just briefly add, Bronte, thank you for bringing in the Black church, because I think this roots this practice in so many ways. And one of the things that we are very attentive to is the ways in which Black ritual traditions have been surveilled, criminalized, policed. So we are looking at the lineages of the homegoings, right? We're looking at the ring shouts. We're talking about how we might bring back the memory jars. And there's so many ways that enslavement and bondage and the many ways that white supremacy has evolved to terrorize our people have stolen these rituals from us. So this work is really a re-remembering. You know, we are very committed to decolonizing Black ritual traditions.
A reclamation.
Mm-hmm.
Bronte, I have a question. You said, who was it that said that white supremacy is a tradition?
Our friend Hasmin, who works for Led to Life, who is also one of the producers for this film.
Okay. I saw a question pop up. I just wanted to make sure that answer got out there. Thank you for that.
Calderon Torres.
So,
hey, Denise.
I don't have, pardon me?
I
don't
just
have much more time.
Hey, I was going to show you guys my medallion.
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh,
this is from Atlanta. This was the first one they made in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. That's so beautiful.
And that medallion is made from alchemized guns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That was going to be my question. Like, is that a product of one of the ritual practices that you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want one. I guess I'm going to have to come and practice and participate with you all.
Dion and we had a chance to hit the fire.
Yeah. What is your
with the sledgehammer?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Denise, what's one of your most memorable experiences in these rituals?
My most memorable experience was when we had a chance, they had the fire, they put the iron in the gun, the whole weapon inside this burning, I guess like, I don't know, like an open fire or something. And they let it burn, and then they give you the opportunity to break it, to hit it. So that was very special and memorable for me. And then to be able afterwards to receive one was even better. It was so special. And Dion too. Yeah, we were there together.
Dion is back.
Yes.
Hi, Dion is joining us from telephone. I'm glad you are here with us to share a little bit about your experience with Led to Life, with these rituals. I'd be interested in knowing.
Well, number one, I was thankful that we had the opportunity to be a part of something that we believe in, and also in this fight for, change. And I was excited to, number one, to even go and see a different part of the world, which is the low water and stuff, and seeing the dance, and just to take a deep breath, because when you're out here always fighting for justice and change, and you need to also self-care. Self-care. So we had nothing but love. It was love that day, and nutrient, good food. I ate some of that food we ate is different that I never ate, or organic. And it was eye-opening, and something that I was able to bring back and teach my kids about that day. And, it also, like Denise was saying, to be able to beat, and beat metal, and then talked about the trees, how they said about the trees. So it was very experiment and learning process, as well as the movement fight for justice.
This has been an amazing conversation. I thank you all for joining me, for sharing, for being vulnerable, for educating my father and others out here on the importance of ritual. Before we get out of here, if I could ask you to all contribute one small thing that what's bringing you joy right now?
Me?
Everybody, yes.
Oh, everyone?
Yeah, Denise, what's bringing you joy right now?
You funny out there in nature.
Yeah. Dion, what's bringing you joy right now?
Love.
Absolutely. Bronte, what's bringing you joy right now?
Dion and Denise.
Liz.
I feel so grateful to bring both my AMP people and my Led to Life people together. I love everyone I'm in conversation with here tonight, so it feels really special. I'm feeling really grateful.
Well, I thank you so much. This has been an inspiring, like I said, inspiring, educational talk. The time kind of went by pretty quickly. I'm a little sad about that. I wish I could talk to you all more for a little longer. However, I do want to let everyone out in the world know that if you would like to support the revolutionary mothers included in the film today, there is a link that's gonna show up in your YouTube box. I don't know which way it is on your screen, right? But donorbox.org/support the revolutionary mothers of Led to Life. Please, if you are so moved, support them, support their work. Thank you for sharing your energy in the chat and social media. A special thank you to the incredible ASL card and Spanish interpreters Our events will be recorded and made available in a few weeks. If you would like to let us know your thoughts on today's conversation, please go to bit.ly/AmpBloomFeedback. That'll also show up in your YouTube feed. We would love to hear from you. You should know that we have one more event coming up, Deep Work, on June 10th. We are super excited to close the season with Sterling Tolles and Boldy James, who will be speaking with Nandi Comer, our own Nandi Comer. To learn more about these events and register, please visit Amp Bloom. That'll show up in your feed as well. Last but not least, the AMC has announced its call for tracks and network gatherings. So if you've got something to propose, please visit amc.alliedmedia.org for more information. I thank y'all so much. Be well. I'll see you soon. Bronte?
I'm going to pass it to you, Liz.
Liz?
We'd like to conclude our time together with a brief water ritual. So if you poured yourself some water earlier in our time together, please hold it, bring it to your lips if you feel called. Thank you, sweet water, for the way you trace the memory of life. We ask that reconciliation, rest, and justice be undammed so that freedom may flow. We are grateful for the ways you subvert that which tries to block you, the way you shapeshift your body around obstacles. As we bring you into our bodies today, we pray that our imagination may flow so that our freedom may be realized. We thank you for your precious offering. We invite you to drink the dreams from our time together. Bronte and I will offer our water out as libations.
And I'm gonna just bring us into a quick practice before we go that I like to do from the Jewish tradition of Sabbath. And when I say Jewish, I mean before the state of Israel, before Zionism, that ancient, powerful Judaism that is about liberation. And so during this time of Sabbath, when you light the Sabbath candles, you wash the candle light over you, and then you cover your eyes to enter Sabbath. So you can imagine, if you want to, you can just wash your candle light over you, or just this time, the time from the screen, the beautiful faces. You can cover your eyes, cover your hands over your eyes. And I'm going to offer this dedication of our time outward for those who couldn't join us. This is from our a deep friend and colleague, Mia Cota Taylor. The phrase is, may any positivity generated be given away to all of life for the sake of freedom. So I'm going to invite you to say it after me. I just realized if you're getting ASL translation, you wouldn't want your hands over your eyes. So maybe you want to have your hands over your heart or somewhere else, whatever works for you. May any positivity generated be given away to all of life.
Be given away to all of life.
For the sake of freedom.
For the sake of freedom.
Ashe, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. An invitation to leave softly and carefully from this place. And make sure you blow those candles out or let them run, however you want to do it.